what to say to a police officer after a serious accident. Welcome back to Ask Your Injured Lawyers, brought to you by Buttafuoco and Associates and hosted by Rob Taramina. In today's episode, we're going to cover what to say to a police officer when you or someone you know is in a serious accident, especially when it's not their fault. Your words matter, and the police report is a key piece of evidence used by the insurance companies in court. Saying the wrong thing can definitely jeopardize your claim, so it's important to get it right. So what should you tell the police? Well, number one, you want to stick to facts. Provide clear, factual information. For example, I was driving within the speed limit when the other driver ran a red light. You're going to want to avoid opinions and speculation. 2, you want to make sure you state that you were not at fault if in fact it was true. If this accident wasn't your fault, it's important that you tell the police officer and that the police report reflects that particular claim. If the other driver violated traffic laws, you're going to want to state this clearly and factually. For example, I had the green light, the other driver ran the red light. You're also going to want to mention injuries. Even if you might be feeling like kinda okay and you have discomfort and you got some pain, this is not the time to play hero. You're gonna want to be honest about how you feel after being in this accident. So number one, the police officer can reflect it into in the report, but honestly, so that you can get the proper medical treatment. Letting injuries that happen as a result of a car accident linger could be dangerous. During a car accident, the adrenaline is going that sometimes could mask the very, very serious injuries. So if you feel any level of discomfort, any level of pain, it's important to allow a police officer to evaluate you and call an ambulance if necessary. If you say that you're fine, but then later on do in fact need treatment, the report may contradict what you're saying. You're also going to want to identify witnesses. You're going to tell the officer if there's any witnesses that were present who could have seen the accident and who they are. Don't be afraid to point that person out. You could say, hey, that person saw the entire accident. Because witnesses can be critical to supporting your version of the events. Let's cover what not to say. You're never going to want to admit fault if in fact it wasn't your fault. And this actually happens more often than you think, where people feel pressure to take on the responsibility, maybe because they feel bad for the other individual, or you could just fill in the blank, but it sometimes happens. So if the accident was not your fault, it's important to reflect in the police report the honest opinion based on facts of what in fact happened. So if it was the other driver's fault, it's important that you tell the police officer the truth. You also don't want to speculate. Stick to what you know, not what you think happened. For example, instead of saying, maybe they didn't see me, you could just say, they turned into my lane while I was driving straight. You don't want to downplay injuries. I know I've already said this, but I can't stress this enough. It's important for you to be honest with the police officer and the people involved with helping with the accident, to tell them honestly how you feel. Saying I'm fine may hurt your case later on if symptoms appear. So let's just summarize some of the key takeaways from today's discussion. First, be polite and as calm as you can given the circumstances, and offer facts. Clearly state if you are not at fault. You got to mention any and all injuries or things that make you feel discomfort or pain. And you're going to identify and point out witnesses. And lastly, make sure you are honest about who is at fault. Never feel pressured or feel bad about the other individual, so you alter the facts of the case. You want to make sure you're representing it honestly. So if it was not your fault, it's important that you notify the police officer and make sure that the police report reflects that it was not your fault. Don't speculate. So if you've been in a serious car accident, don't face the legal system alone. Call the experienced car accident attorneys at Buttafuoco and Associates by visiting 1-800-NOW-HURT.com or calling 1-800-NOW-HURT today.